That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Oddity, the sophomore film directed by Damian Mc Carthy, which premiered at the 2024 South by Southwest Film Festival. It is being released courtesy of IFC Films on July 19th, 2024, before it will be available eventually to stream on Shudder.
I'm familiar with this director's first film.
We reviewed Caveats
Caveat.
back in 2020.
What is Oddity about? Uncovering the truth behind sister's death with the help of wooden mannequin. That's a really awkward sentence.
That's the grammatically incorrect sentence on IMDb.
What's your pull quote?
Although its narrative is arguably sparse and it doesn't require psychic powers to predict a foreseeable finale, Oddity is enticingly eerie thanks mostly to a compelling and creepy lead performance from Carolyn Bracken.
Mine. Oddity lives up to its name while delivering a satisfyingly tense horror thriller. I enjoyed this movie very much.
Yes.
And I really liked I guess she's the main character of Darcy.
Darcy and Dani, she's playing twins.
Identical twins. What's that actor's name?
Carolyn Bracken, who I think is quickly becoming the it girl in contemporary Irish horror film because she was also in The Lodgers and You Are Not My Mother, both of which I've seen. Her biggest role to date is probably The Quiet Girl because that was Oscar nominated.
And we'll get to the characters, but the doctor, I thought he did a good job seeming like an asshole. And
Gwilym Lee,
I liked him.
Dr. Timmis.
And his girlfriend, she wasn't shit either.
Yana, played by Carolyn Menton in her film debut.
Yeah, those characters are well done. So the story, like you said, it is sparse, but there's a lot going on. So I guess we can start with Darcy. So she's blind, and she says she can read objects. So I guess she's like a medium. And she owns a shop, like a little boutique that sells oddities, which is cute because she explains that she tells someone who comes in, her brother-in-law, don't steal anything because all of my shit is cursed. And I don't lift the curse until you pay for it. But, okay, so she has an identical twin sister.
I think Darcy is the twin.
Oh,
Darcy and Dani are their names.
Oh, Dani's the one who's blind?
That's what I remember.
Oh, I wrote down Darcy's.
Oh, then you're probably correct.
So she has an identical twin sister, Dani. And Dani's married to a doctor, a psychiatrist. And the opening of the film before the credits roll is that Dani's like at her house, which is a very interesting house we have to get to because it's like a castle, but she's sleeping in like a tent inside, but not inside the house. Anyway.
Very Enya.
Yeah. So one night, this is the opening of the film, some like rando guy is knocking on her door talking about let me in, let me in. When you went outside to go get something from your car, someone went into the room. Like there's someone in there. You need to get out. Let me in. I'll help you. And she's like, I don't know about this. But he kind of convinces her. And right as she's about to make a decision whether or not to open the door, we cut to the opening credits. So as the audience, we don't know if she let this man in. But then we find out that she was murdered. And everyone assumes that it was that man. He's supposed to seem crazy. The crazy man who came to her door.
Whose character's name is Olin Boole, played by Tadhg Murphy. And I kept thinking he looks like a Skarsgård. And he was had a supporting role in The Northman.
Oh, he's handsome. And his name's Olin with one eye, which is a joke in the movie because his character has a glass eye, which is important. And at one point, an orderly goes, do you spell Olin with a one eye or two? There are some funny moments in this movie. Whoever wrote this.
The director.
Yeah. So the audience and everyone else is assuming that Olin killed Dani. So we find out a year has passed and the brother-in-law to Darcy, the psychiatrist, goes to visit her at her oddity shop.
Odello's Oddities, which she inherited from her mother.
And we find out that, and Darcy finds out, as we do, that he has a girlfriend. And this girlfriend is someone who used to visit the hospital. So it's very obvious that like he was probably having an affair on his wife.
She was a pharmaceutical rep?
Yeah. So Darcy's not feeling that. And she just pops up at their house one night because she had kind of casually mentioned to her brother-in-law, oh, I should swing by since it's like the anniversary of my sister's death. So she pops up and the the doctor's like, what are you doing here? I wasn't expecting you. I have to go to work. My girlfriend, she has to go into the city. So they are not happy. But Darcy's like, well, I'm staying and I brought you a gift. And probably the centerpiece of this movie is the gift she brought, which is this big wooden statue, like a life-size wooden statue that looks really creepy. And we're told that Dani and Darcy's mother was given this doll by a witch, or from a witch, and it's supposed to be like for like a 5-year wedding anniversary, something real random. And Darcy wants the doctor to have it. So then the bulk of the film is the doctor goes to work because he works graveyards, and the girlfriend can't leave like she wanted to because she can't find her car keys. So she's stuck in this castle with creepy ass Darcy and this doll. And weird things start happening. The girlfriend ends up leaving because she's like, something's not right. But the gag is we find out Darcy had requested the glass eye from Olin because she can read things. And she realizes that that man did not kill her sister. He really was going there to save her. How did he know to save her? Because this raggedy ass doctor convinced one of his orderlies to kill his wife.
An orderly named Ivan who used to be a patient.
That could be its own movie, that little toxic ass relationship. But the doctor convinces the orderly to kill his wife because he is in love with this new lady, the pharmaceutical rep, and he knows that his wife is not going to divorce him easily because she still loves him. And he has no money because they bought this castle and he spent all his money fixing it up.
So it's Dateline. It's an episode of Dateline.
It literally is an episode of Dateline. And Olin he overheard the doctor talking to the orderly
Through the vents.
and so he was discharged
Around the same time.
And went to go try to save her. But I guess it was serendipity that he was there because now they can blame him for the murder. And unfortunately, Darcy, when she was told who killed her sister, she went and killed him, which seemed kind of extra. She goes and smashes his head in.
She did.
So he's an unfortunate victim. But in the end...
And so is she, kind of.
She is, because in the end, when the doctor finally gets back to his house, because the girlfriend leaves, he tricks Darcy, because she tells him, I know what happened. I know that you were having an affair on my sister, and that you hired this orderly to kill her, so I'm going to tell everyone. And he's like, I'm going to set this all straight. I'm going to leave my phone here. I'm going to have someone call you, like the police, so they can get your side of the story. But
I think it's the lawyer that prosecuted Olin Boole.
So he says, I'm going to put the phone over here while you're sitting over there. When the phone rings, you need to get up and go get the phone. And because she's blind, she doesn't realize that there's like a big trap door in front of her. And when the phone rings, she does get up and go, and she falls down the trap door and is like badly, badly injured. But she puts that doll, she can make it like she reanimates it. And the doll kills...
The doll badly injures Ivan, who comes to
the
kill
orderly. He gets taken to the psychiatric facility, and the doctor basically like commits him because he's afraid that he's going to tell all his business. But the final scene in the film goes back to the beginning, because when the doctor first went to go see Darcy, she was like showing him some of her new inventory, and she had this bell. And she's like, oh, this bell is haunted because it belonged to like this bellboy who was murdered. So the doctor's like, so you telling me if I ring this bell, some like bellboy spirit ghost is going to come get me?
She's like, the last two people that happened to ring it died.
She said, well, but I'm not here to find out, because he's telling her, well, ring it. And she's like, we don't play with things like that. So at the end of the movie, we can presume that Darcy didn't die from her injuries because the doctor's sitting at home, like he thinks he's free and clear, and he gets a package, and it's from the Oddity shop, and it's that damn bell. And this fool in his arrogance rings it. And the final shot of the film is that bellboy spirit obviously there to kill him. Yeah, it sounds like a lot, but I think I was fully engaged the entire time.
I was engaged in a way that I wasn't quite with Caveat, which I wasn't a huge fan of, but again, set in this isolated location where the story sounds a lot more fussy than it is with all these things going on.
Yes, I agree. I'm just going to start with a couple things that didn't work for me. I thought the cinematography felt a little like this could have been on Tubi sometimes.
The cinematographer is Colm Hogan, but
Sorry.
I think the night scenes look good. I think during the day, and there's a couple exterior shots that look a little green screeny, and I think that was more of the visual
In
problem.
some of the editing, there are some flourishes that are supposed to, I guess, seem kind of like create tension where it's like choppy and
Sure.
or like quick zoom ins, like sometimes when they do in like zombie movies that I didn't love. And I thought, while I did like the doctor and his girlfriend because they were raggedy in like a soap opera kind of way,
Very much, yes.
I thought that
Telenovela.
maybe
yeah.
the performance from the girlfriend could have been a little
tighter. Well, she's so there's.
But they're both vile.
They're both vile in a way that this makes it feel like a stretched out segment of an anthology film.
Yes.
I was thinking Creepshow 2 because of the dime store Native American that comes to life and kills everybody in that. But also the mechanism of the very creepy beginning of there's someone in the house. This is like an urban myth, but I clearly remember something scary stories to tell in the dark where a woman's driving and someone's flashing their lights behind her, and it's because he's trying to warn her of the man in the back seat. But that kind of energy is very primal. So it's playing with those kind of fears that I really liked.
Yeah, it's effective. I'm just going to go through my notes. The opening scene was very effective because I'm like, is she going to let this man in? And we were both like, girl, don't let this man in. But then it was creepy because it's like, well, what if there is someone in there? And the camera's panning to like a dark corner in this room.
She also has a camera set up because her twin believes in ghosts. She has a camera set up because this is an old palatial estate and there must be, some kind of spiritual essence there. So there's this camera that's taking pictures and she can see, she goes and kind of hides in this tent and she can see the camera taking a picture of somebody in the house.
Because we get flashbacks to what actually happened, and I thought that was super effective.
Yes.
Because we see that she didn't let Ivan in, or Olin, I'm sorry. She didn't let Olin in, the guy from the beginning. She didn't open the door for him. But then we see that she goes back to her tent, sets up her camera, and she sees that there was someone. That was super creepy. And then I will say the way that moment was edited, where we see the killer sort of like sitting in front of her tent, and then it immediately like cuts to her tent being filled with blood. That was very effective.
Well, and then later on we hear the planning of it between the husband and the orderlies, like kill her in the tent so you don't get blood all over. Man.
Again, I enjoyed the movie because it was kind of over the top in that way, but I think that aspect of the doctor and the orderly and him being a patient and the doctor convincing him to kill his wife, that in itself could have been like a crime thriller.
Yeah.
So it did feel a little thin.
Yes.
In a way that made me roll my eyes like, really? This guy is agreeing to do this?
But it made me hungry for more of the Carolyn Bracken Darcy character. With that blonde hair, she reminded me of Annie Lennox.
Yeah, I liked her look. The bunny from Caveat makes an appearance because we see in Darcy's Oddity shop that she has... It reminded me of like The Conjuring, how they have that basement filled with stuff.
Well, in James Wan's continual callbacks to dolls.
What is this director's name?
Damian Mc Carthy.
I would totally be into this person's next film, and I would think, and it could be really fun if they're like a James Wan type director where all of their films sort of have some kind of connection.
It also reminded, I think it'd make a great double feature considering the twins and blindness. Do you remember the movie Julia's Eyes? Sort of 2010 Spanish film with Belén Rueda, where she's a woman going blind who's also, I think, investigating the death of her dead blind twin sister.
Okay, the new girlfriend of the doctor, she's so disrespectful. She doesn't seem to like, she's not honoring the fact that his, like his dead wife at all. And she even has this lady's camera, like the dead wife's camera, and she's flipping through pictures and she's like, God, there's still a lot of pictures of you two in here. Like, do you want to keep them? And this husband says, no, delete them. Like, okay.
She's so raggedy, but so is he. It's like he's going to work. It's the anniversary. I mean, everybody deals with trauma, processes differently. But it's like, yeah, I'm just going to work. This is the day she died a year ago.
But the girlfriend's looking through the camera, and at one point, one of the pictures, she's trying to show the doctor, like, look at this. Don't you see her face in the picture? And he's like, oh, well, she was always taking pictures. It's probably like an old one. And she's like, no, I took this yesterday. And he's not like, he seems so blasé about like the weirdness in the house.
Well, and it comes to make sense. He didn't really love this woman anymore, and hired somebody to kill her. So all of that makes sense. But right away, you kind of suspect those things.
Also, the doctor does, for someone who's a psychiatrist, he seems really insensitive in a way that is kind of ridiculous.
Well, because he's listening to his ex-sister-in-law talking about things, and he's like, Yana, he's like, you sound crazy. I have to go listen to crazy
he goes, I listen
day.
to crazy things all night at work. I don't want to hear them when I get home. Like, damn.
Like, that's not what I want my therapist to say.
Oh, Lord. When Darcy shows up, and of course, the doctor and his girlfriend don't want her there, and they're being quite rude. And she's like, well, I'm here, and I'm staying, and I brought a trunk. And it's that big ass trunk.
The trunk arrived before her.
It arrived before her, but she unlocks it, and we don't see what's in it initially. But then it gets plopped at the table. So this creepy ass wooden doll is sitting at the dining room table. I thought that idea, and I'm wondering if maybe the film was built around this idea of the doll.
Maybe.
But this is a really good example of maybe someone with limited resources, like they kind of had a place to shoot. They had this idea of maybe they own the doll that I think is very effective.
Yana goes, why did you take it out? And she goes, I didn't take it out. Like,
Yeah. And then throughout the film, you see the doll moving. And it's like, well, we know that she didn't move it. So it's creepy.
Well, it's also, they're both going to leave this blind woman in this huge house that looks a lot smaller inside than the exterior shots suggest. And she's like, I'm hungry. Could you make me some food? And she's like, the fridge is over in that direction.
Girlfriend is so damn rude. She's like, well... I mean, and then she makes her a charcuterie board. And I'm assuming doesn't tell her what she made. And she just plops it right in front of her. And poor Darcy is just like fingering the food. Like, she didn't even give her like a knife to like spread the brie. Mm-mm. Oh my God. So rude. Then Darcy confronts the girlfriend. Basically like, I know you were fooling around with my brother-in-law while he was married to my sister.
I think that's my favorite scene.
Oh yeah, because the girlfriend's getting smart with her, and the girlfriend tells Darcy, do I look stupid? And Darcy's blind, so she's like, I don't know what you look like, but you sound stupid. I was like, oh my God. And then even before that, a few times, the girlfriend's like, have you seen my keys? No, bitch, I'm blind. I have not seen your keys. For some reason, that really sent me.
There are all kinds of actually interactions beyond that where they're responding to her seeing something or asking something like that, forgetting that she's blind. Like, these two just don't care.
Yeah. But, she can read personal things. So at a point, she reads her sister's wedding band or her brother's wedding band. I think it's her brother-in-law's wedding band. And that's when Darcy learns the truth, that they were having marital problems, that he wanted to leave her, that he was cheating on her. That's also when she learns with the eye that the orderly killed her sister. And so she tells the girlfriend, and that's when the girlfriend tells her boyfriend, the doctor. So everything escalates quite quickly, but I thought the pacing of the entire story it just kept it very engaging.
It did. We keep saying it feels stretched out, but there's no moment where I felt like it was lagging either, which is commendable for structure. Another creepy scene is the wooden mannequin has like 5 holes in its skull.
And what does the girlfriend want to do?
Yana, she can see that there's something in each of those holes.
It looks like a bowling ball hole.
Yeah. Does she get a flashlight? No, she gets forceps and starts pulling things out.
And she pulls out like a lock of hair, a picture, a vial of blood. And then when Darcy...
There's 2 pictures, and it's like, you have a blind woman who clearly probably put these items in there. How did she know? Like, there's so many creepy elements. Like, how does she know which pictures to put in this? Speaking
of creepy, when the doctor is trying to give the orderly the plan to kill his wife, the orderly is basically asking, like, well, since I have to kill her, like, can I rape her?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
He doubles down because the doctor's like, well, that's not going to be the situation. And
he's like, but wouldn't that look good? Because, like, it makes sense. Like, people do that nowadays.
But the orderly goes, but what if it were the situation?
That was so creepy.
But the Dr. Timmis is very adamant, like, no, you're not going to do that. It's like, well, I don't know if you can really control
him
what this person is going to do.
I know I like the character of Darcy because when she fell through that trap door, I was so upset.
I was too.
I did not want her to get hurt.
We're led to care for her, and I think that was more along the lines of my problem with Caveat is I didn't feel that way for anybody. And in this way, in this film, it's almost the exact opposite.
I did like the sound editing towards like the second half when the doll's like chasing the orderly. And I thought that was really effective. And then the doctor, after all is said and done, and like the orderly's been blamed for all this, and I'm assuming Darcy's like recovering in the hospital. The doctor burns the doll. Like we see him light this doll on fire.
Well, you want to assume that she's still alive, but Yana, we hear a voicemail from Yana to the doctor at the end that says, "Now 2 people have died. Like, don't call me again."
Oh, I assumed she was talking about the orderly and the wife.
Maybe.
But I guess it could be the orderly and Darcy. The only reason I'm thinking I want to believe Darcy's still alive is because the package that was sent to the doctor at the end, if Darcy's dead, that means she would have had to have sent it before she even got to the house.
True.
So that seems like not the case, but either way, I did enjoy this film. I'd be happy to watch this director's next film.
Yes, I agree.
What would you give Oddity?
3.
I would give this film 3.5 out of 5. Join us on Patreon and listen to our podcast. Bye.